The stars are right, and that means it's time for another episode of The Whisper in Darkness. I'm your host, the man from Ling. Thank you very much for joining me today. This episode is part 2 in my 2-part series about the Wendy Adams deck that Sergeant Mook posted on Arkham DB. In part 1, I took a look at the deck and the combo that fuels it. I also took a look at the strategy that I plan to use in order to take down the experiment in extracurricular activity and hopefully pick ourselves up a sweet 4 XP in that scenario. We are ready, so let's get to it. We are set up and ready to go here. We have Wendy Adams. She has the weakness Indebted, which is a permanent, and she starts the game with 2 fewer resources, so we will subtract those now. Wendy begins in play here at the Miskatonic Quad. It is a 3-shroud location with 0 clues, and it has the action Resign. We can't find Rice anywhere. You leave the campus, hoping Armitage will forgive you. Our opening agenda is Quiet Halls. You have arrived at the Miskatonic University campus in search of Professor Warren Rice. Classes are over, and a mysterious silence hangs in the air over the quad, and it has a doom threshold of 7. Our opening act is After Hours. Professor Rice was last seen several hours ago by one of Armitage's students in the Humanities Building. And it has, we need 3 clues per investigator in order to advance. We are playing extracurricular activity on standard mode. The skull is a -1, and if you fail, you discard the top 3 cards of your deck. The cultist is a -1, -3 instead, if there are 10 or more cards in your discard pile. And the elder thing is -X, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. X is the total printed cost of those discarded cards. We do not have to worry about the Elder Thing token because extracurricular activities is our first scenario in this campaign. We are ready to draw our opening hand. We will give Wendy's deck a shuffle. She starts with an Overpower, a knife, a baseball bat, a double or nothing, another baseball bat. So we are going to discard one of the baseball bats, the knife, and the Overpower. And draw 3 more cards. There's Leo DeLuca. There is an Opportunist and an Oops. We will shuffle those back in, and we are ready to go. So I think Wendy, this turn, she is simply going to gain 3 resources and prepare to play Leo DeLuca next turn. We will gain another resource and draw a card. There is our manual dexterity. That will certainly help us with our combo. We will add a doom and draw an encounter card. It is Visions of Future Past. Test 5. For each point you fail by, discard the top card of your deck. She is a 4, and that is a 5. I'm going to discard the Opportunist to give ourselves a 5 versus 5. Let's see how we do. It is a -1, so we will discard the top card of our deck, and it is an emergency cache. Not too bad. It is the second turn. We will use Wendy's 6 resources to play Leo DeLuca, so we now have 3 more actions. We are not yet in a position to go getting clues, so I'm going to draw a card. There's a knife. I'm going to draw another card. There's an Unexpected Courage, and finally another emergency cache. We will gain a resource and draw a card, and that is our second copy of Leo DeLuca. We will add a doom and draw an encounter card. It is Eager for Death. It is a willpower 2 test. Increase this skill's difficulty by 1 for each damage on you. If you fail, take 2 horror. This is a 4 versus 2. We will just take it and see how we do. That's a skull, it's a -1, so we pass with flying colors. As our first action this turn, we are going to discard the emergency cache to gain 3 resources. We really need to get ourselves a flashlight or our look what I found. So we will spend our second action to draw a card. There's an overpower. We haven't drawn any of the stuff we need, so we will use our third action to draw. There is a lucky. That is what we need. So we will spend... So we played the cache, drew the lucky, the overpower. We are going to spend... I think we're going to spend 1 resource just to put out the knife. Just to give ourselves some protection. So we don't have to discard too much. We will gain a resource and draw a card. That is a Guts. That will come in very handy. We will discard our second copy of Leo DeLuca. We will add a Doom and draw an encounter card. It is the Offer of Power. You must either choose one to draw 2 cards and place 2 Doom on the current agenda. This effect can cause the current agenda to advance or take 2 horror. That is an interesting proposition. I am going to draw the 2 cards, I think, and place the 2 Doom. So I will draw the 2 cards here. We get a Manual Dexterity and Abandoned and Alone. We will take 2 horror and remove our discard pile from the game. That's not a terrible time to get that. We don't have a whole lot in our discard pile that we cared about. So we are ready to go for our next turn. As our first action, we will move to the Orin Library. We will flip that over. It is a 3-shroud location with 1 clue per investigator, and you must spend 1 additional action to investigate the Orin Library. We will spend our next 2 actions to investigate the Orin Library. It is a 3 versus 3, but we do have a lucky that we can use if necessary. And we get a -2, so we will spend the 1 resource to play the lucky in order to grab that clue. That was our second and third action. As our fourth action, I'm not quite ready to move to the Humanities building, so we are going to draw another card. There is our flashlight. That is what we need. So we will gain a resource and draw a card. We're going to have to discard some here. We will pitch a Manual Dexterity and an Opportunist. We're still looking for the Backstab, which will complete our combo. We will add a Doom. And draw 1 encounter card. It is a Pushed into the Beyond. We will shuffle a non-story asset you control into your deck and discard the top 3 cards. We take 2 horror. If we discard that, we will put the knife back in and discard the top 3. There's an oops. There's a backstab, and there's a look what I found. That's what we were hoping to draw. So we need to draw our next, what are we looking for? We need to play our flashlight this turn. So we will spend 2 resources to play the flashlight. That is our first action. As our second action, we will move to the Humanities building. It is a 3-shroud location with 2 clues per investigator. And it has the forced effect at the end of your turn. If you are in the Humanities building, discard the top X cards of your deck, where X is the amount of horror on you. we are going to have to discard 2 cards. That's a little dangerous, but we will have to do our best here. The flashlight has 3 supplies, so we will spend our first supply in order to do a 3 versus 1, and that is a +1, so we grab that, and we will spend another supply to do a 3 versus 1, and that is a skull, which we pass. So we grab that clue. We need to discard some cards off the top of our deck. 2 of them, in fact. There is a baseball bat and Wendy's amulet. We will add a resource and draw a card, which is a knife. We are now in a pretty good position because we don't really need our flashlight anymore, so we can install the baseball bat and get ready for that. So we will add a doom, which will flip us over to Act 2B. Something stirs. The university is dead silent. The shadows coil about your feet as you walk, and you swear there is something following you with each step you take. Is it just your imagination, or is there really someone or something stalking you? So each investigator with more than 10 cards in his or her discard pile takes 2 horror, so we will be taking 2 horror. Because of that, since extracurricular activity is the first scenario of this campaign, we advance to 2A. Which is Dread of Night. Professor Rice's disappearance isn't the only thing amiss at the university. You're unsure exactly what is going on, but you're starting to believe Armitage was right in asking for your help. Each investigator's maximum hand size is reduced by 3 while checking his or her hand size during the upkeep phase. So what we need to do here, we do have to draw an encounter card first of all. We will do that now. It is a thrall. Thralls are spawn in the location with the most clues. There are no clues on the table, so we will dump the thrall in the administration building, which is a place we have no intention of going to. So we can spend our 3 clues now to advance to Act 2 to 1B, which is the head janitor. You were unable to find Professor Rice, but one of the students you spoke with mentioned a strange man entering Rice's office. Unfortunately, the door leading to the faculty offices is locked at this late hour. The student says that the head janitor, Jazz, might be able to let you in, if you can find him. So we shuffle the encountered discard pile and the set-aside Jazz Mulligan into the encounter deck. So we will go grab those cards now. Where did they go? Here they are. We will look at all the cards. We will bring out, since we're going to have to bring them out anyway, we'll bring out our dormitories, the experiment, Jazz, and the alchemy labs. We need to shuffle Jazz into the deck along with the discard pile. So we will shuffle that up. And we will advance to our next act, which is Rice's whereabouts. Concerned for Professor Rice's safety, you seek out the head janitor who can let you into the locked sections of the campus. And it has the action, spend 1 clue, discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck, top 10 instead if there is 1 player in the game. And your forced effect is, if you discard Jazz Mulligan for any reason, resolve this revelation effect. And when you take control of Jazz Mulligan, you can advance. So we haven't taken any actions yet. We do have 8 cards. We're going to have to go down to 5 cards here at the end of our turn. So we will want to move. Are we in a position 1, 2? Then we get to pick up 2 clues. We are. We will move back to the quad and to the Students' Union building. We will flip that over. The Students' Union is a one shroud location with 2 clues, and it has the forced effect: after Student Union is revealed, put the set aside dormitories into play. So the dormitories come here. So our goal now is to grab those 2 clues. I'm going to spend 1 off of our flashlight to make it a 3 versus 0 for the first clue, and we get a 0, so we grab that clue, and as our second action we will try to do it again, and we are successful. So we grab both of those clues. So that was, we moved 1, 2, we did 2 actions, so we are good there. We will add a resource and draw a card. There is a look what I found. We do not need that, and we need to discard 3 other cards. We will discard the knife, the guts, and the oops, I think is what we're going to do. Alright, so we are set up here. The experiment is going to be coming out fairly quickly here. We will add a doom and draw a card. Just going to make sure this is shuffled up. And let's see what our encounter card is. It is a Whippoorwills. They are aloof. They are a 2-fight, 1 hit point, 4 agility creature. They are aloof, hunter, and each investigator at the Whippoorwills location gets -1 to all of their skills. So we do not have to engage the Whippoorwills at this time, which is fine. We do have 4 actions that we can deal with. We could think what we'll do, we're going to spend the first one. We'll discard that clue, and we'll discard the top 10 cards of our deck and see if we can't find Jazz. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, there's Jazz, and 10. So Jazz pops out at our location. And if you discard Jazz Mulligan, we can resolve his revelation effect. So he is in play at our location. While Jazz is not controlled by an investigator, he gains Parlay Test Intellect 3. If successful, take control of Jazz Mulligan. We have, that was our first action, I believe. Our second action, we will spend 2 resources. We will discard the flashlight and play the baseball bat. And that was our second action. Our third action, we're going to engage the Whippoorwills, and then we will attack them. Wendy has a 3 versus 2 against the Whippoorwills. So we will just do it straight up and see how we do here. We get a 0, so that is she bashes the Whippoorwill's brains in. That is great. We don't want to have to deal with those any longer than we have to. So that was her fourth action. We spent one clue, we installed the baseball bat, we engaged the whippoorwills, and we killed them. So next turn we are in a position to pull Jazz out to get Jazz on our side and go from there. So we will gain a resource and a card. There is another overpower. We will add the Doom and draw an encounter card. It is a Thrall, which is excellent. It goes on the location with the most clues, and we will dump it with its Thrall buddy over in the administration building. We are ready to try to get Jazz on our side. We have 4 actions to do it. We're just going to go straight up 3 versus 3, and we will see how we do. First action is a 0, so we gain control of Jazz on our first attempt. That is excellent. And that will advance us to Act 2B, so we will flip this over. You convince Jazz that something strange is going on and that Professor Rice may be in danger. He doesn't trust you enough to hand you his keys, but he agrees to come with you. All of a sudden, you hear a crash coming from the science building, and a student rushes toward you. "Help!" he cries. "There's some kind of animal loose in the chem labs. I only barely caught a glimpse of it, but I think it's heading to the dorms. You've got to do something." If the Alchemy Labs location is not in play, put it into play. If you are at Agenda 1 or 2, spawn the set-aside experiment at the Alchemy Labs. So we will do that now. The experiment is in play. We will bring him to the front so we can see him. And we do not have to worry about the alchemical concoction because this is our extracurricular activities, is our first scenario. So we will advance to Act 3A, Campus Safety. You have only moments to react. You could warn the students in the dormitories and escort them to safety, or continue your task of searching the faculty offices for Professor Rice. Or perhaps you could try to slay the beast that threatens the campus, and the objective is to find and complete an objective on another encounter card. So that was our first action. Now this is an interesting... we are in a pretty good position, I think, here. So what we are going to do, we will use our second action to move to the dormitories, and we'll flip that over. It is a run shroud location with 3 clues per investigator, and if the investigators in the dormitories spend 3 clues as a group, we get R2, and it has a victory of 1. That was our second action, so we will take 2 actions to investigate. It's a 3 versus 1. Our first one is a -2, so we grab that clue. And our second action is a skull, which is a -1. So that is also a success. We will gain a resource and draw a card. There is our backstab. We are set up to take down this experiment. We are ready. We have 1 clue to grab, and then we are in position to go. So we will add we need to discard 1 card though, so we will discard the Overpower. We will add a Doom and draw an encounter card. It is the Offer of Power. You must either choose 1, draw 2 cards, and place 2 Doom on the current agenda. Whoop. Wait a second here. We added a Doom, so we have to advance anyway. So we will flip that over. The experiment has to move 1 location towards the dormitory, so he is in the science building. What we can do here, we have to add 2 doom. We have to put this into play first, 3A. The beast unleashed. Some kind of wild creature is on the loose. Whatever it is, it appears to be headed toward the university dormitories. When this agenda would advance by reaching its doom threshold, instead remove all doom in play and move the experiment 1 location toward the dormitories. So this is an interesting situation here, because this will automatically, if we take the 2 cards and add the 2 doom, it will automatically advance. So the experiment will move to the Miskatonic Quad and we will draw 2 cards, which is fine by me. There is a lucky and a double or nothing. We are in very good shape to take out the experiment. So what we are going to do with our turn is we are going to investigate first of all, because we want to grab this clue. So we will do that now. That is a -3, so that will be a failure. We will do it again. That is a skull. That is a success. So that was our second action. As our third action, we are going to move back to the Students' Union building. And as our fourth action, we are going to draw a card. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's right. There's our flashlight. So we are in position. We will gain a resource and draw a card. There is an unexpected courage. We will pitch the flashlight. We no longer need it. We will add a doom and draw an encounter card. It is another offer of power. Okay, so we have to choose to add 2 doom on the current agenda, which can cause it to advance, or draw 2 cards, or take 2 horror. So we will be, I am quite happy with this advancing. So we will add 2 doom to the current agenda to advance it. And that will move the experiment to the Students' Union building. So we will just remove this doom. That's what we have to do first of all, if it will remove the doom. There we go. We will add 2 cards to our hand, so we are empty. We get to shuffle them all back into our deck, and we are in an excellent position here to take out this experiment. So that will be our job this turn. So what we will do is we are going to backstab the experiment first of all. We will spend 3 resources to play backstab. We are going to play a double or nothing. We are going to play our manual dexterity. We are going to play our unexpected courage. So that will give us a 9 versus the experiment's 8, because we played double or nothing. I don't think we have anything else that we can play. So if this is successful, we will hit the experiment for 6 damage, and we will get to draw 2 cards. So we will do that. Let's see how we do here. We draw a 0, so we hit the experiment for 6 damage. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we get to draw 2 cards because of the double or nothing doubling the manual dexterity. There's a look what I found and an oops. So we will discard all those. As our second action, we will take a swing at this thing with our baseball bat. Right now it is a 3 versus 4. We are going to pitch our overpower. To make it a 5 versus 4, we will pitch our knife to make it a 6 versus 4. And we will draw a token. There is a skull. That is a -1. So we hit the... Now that will break our baseball bat if we want. So we are going to have to discard a card in order to redraw that. And that's a -1. So that will do 2 more damage. Whoops. So the experiment now has 8 damage out of 10. We get to draw another card because of the overpower. And as our third action, we are in position to take this thing down. So we are going to hit it with the baseball bat again. We get +2, so we are at 3. We will spend the unexpected courage for 4-5. We will ditch the oops for 6-7, I believe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 versus 4. We do have a lucky if we need it. Let's see what happens. Chaos bag, -1. That is what we wanted to see. The experiment takes 2 damage, and if the experiment is defeated, we advance to Act 3B. We will flip that over. The beast's death. The monstrous creature lets out a terrible shriek as it succumbs to its wounds and collapses onto the ground. A foul odor emanates from the corpse as its flesh begins to bubble and froth. Your relief turns to disgust as the body begins to shrink and disintegrate. Minutes later, the body has almost entirely evaporated into a sticky mass, and the awful odor has vanished. Inside the remnants of the creature's body, all you can find is a set of bones, the skeletal structure of a canine. And so that is it. Wendy has taken down the experiment. We have cleared the dormitories and the Orn library, so we end up with 4 experience points for this scenario. This scenario went extremely well. We were a little slow at the beginning. I was a little concerned because we weren't drawing the cards that we needed to explore the Orn library and the humanities building, but once we were able to get over that hump, we drew our combo early enough. The fact that the experiment was moving towards us also helps because we didn't have to waste a lot of actions chasing it down. We were very fortunate not to draw a Beyond the Veil toward the end of the game when our deck was down to 1 or 2 cards. That would have made it difficult, but we could have survived it if it had triggered because we did have Leo DeLuca and Jazz Mulligan to take the hit for us if necessary. So yeah, a very successful run through. If you get a chance to check out the Combo Wendy deck, I would definitely recommend it. It's a fun deck to play. It teaches you to play the game slightly differently. It focuses a lot more on drawing cards and setting up that combo and using your cards wisely to pass those skill checks. And it's a very interesting deck to play, and I would certainly recommend it. That's going to do it for me today. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. If you'd like to be notified of when I'm releasing future content, please hit the subscribe button. We've got the Blood on the Altar expansion Mythos pack coming out this coming Thursday in North America, so I'm really excited about bringing you that Mythos pack. I will also be reviewing the player cards once they arrive at my friendly local game store. If you'd like to drop me a line, I can be reached at manfromleng@gmail.com, and I am on Twitter @manfromleng. Until the stars are right, this is Man from Leng wishing you happy investigating.